Hey Worcester, it's Tracy Novick. We have a big week ahead of us. First, let's talk about the obvious, which is please, please, please go vote if you haven't already. Polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Tuesday across the city. If you need to look up where your polling place is, where do I vote, will be it. But if you are registered to vote, this is an important one, so please get out there and make your voice heard. Before that, to talk back about Worcester Public Schools, the school committee is holding a student forum on Monday night at 5:30. You can find the Zoom link to that right on the top of the agenda. If you go to About and then School Committee on the website, the agenda for tomorrow evening is the first agenda that's up there. Please click through on that. All students are welcome, not just high school students, middle school students, elementary school students. So if you are an adult and you are watching this and you think your student or any students that you have any contact with would be interested, please encourage them to join us. Also, if you don't want to speak at the forum but want to watch the forum, you can, as usual, do that both on the district website, which has live streaming through the TV station, and also on our Facebook page. And also, of course, you can do that. And then if you want to follow up with an email or with a text or a call, our contact information is on the district website as well. So please, please spread the word on that. It's important. We're interested in hearing not only about how remote learning is going, but also on student perspectives on next steps. Because as you know, we have a plan at this point in terms of what happens next, which brings me to the regular meeting of the school committee, which is on Thursday. The public session starts at 6. Among the things that are on the agenda, there isn't a separate item for this, but among the things that are on the agenda for us to speak about and decide about is next steps. As most of you may remember, November 16th is the day that we're supposed to be sending students back into the buildings. At that point, it would be the Group C students, high needs special education, high needs English language learners, some of the vocational students, most of the vocational students, and the alternative program students. That, however, was always contingent and continues to be contingent on 3 things. One is the state's guidance, which hasn't really changed since July. One is the course of the disease. And as I think most people know, we're on week 6 of being read, with the city manager saying last week that he sees no end of that in sight. And the third thing was the work that was going on in the buildings around HVAC and the ionization systems. The superintendent did say in the middle of last week that so far work was only taking place at Worcester Tech. It was always a pretty aggressive agenda. I assume we will have an update again on Thursday. I haven't heard one since then, but that is obviously part of the discussion as well. So that will be happening on Thursday. That was a plan, but it always was something that was subject to those other items. So if that's something of interest, please join us on Thursday. 2 other things that are reports on the agenda that I think are crucial for people to know about. One is our initial assessment data. There's obviously been a lot of concern over what did the students lose by not having school in quite the same fashion or get quite as much education really even during the spring. And so we've got district assessment data, which looks at this fall versus last fall. That also, of course, is a baseline for then sort of going forward of where we're at. And particularly when you're talking about things like literacy for early elementary, we're talking about things like middle school math. There's a couple of places there that we already honestly have concerns really as a district, and sort of making sure that we're not, that we're doing our very best really in terms of those places that we already know we struggle as a district is part of what's going on there. Presentation is already on the agenda. You can already take a look at it if you're interested. And then the third thing that's on the agenda that's I think really crucial, report that I asked for, which is our October 1 enrollment numbers. That, as some of you might know, determines our budget for next year. The October 1 calculation is actually the enrollment that's used for our foundation budget for next year. Not surprisingly, because we sort of had some intimations this was coming, we've lost about 1,000 students. On the sort of positive side, it looks like the vast majority of those are kindergarten and preschool, which essentially means that parents are just kind of holding their younger kids out. It isn't that we're hemorrhaging kids, at upper grades to other systems. So that's a bit reassuring if we're going to lose them. On the other hand, since it does determine our budget, which determines our state aid, I know Mr. Allen on the report flags that we would lose about $10 million if we didn't have Hold Harmless. And of course, that also gets essentially kind of built into our base in terms of continuing to be a disadvantage moving forward. And all of this, of course, is aside from the fact that the Student Opportunity Act still isn't being implemented, which was supposed to be the deal this year. So that's all on the agenda as well. There's a couple of things that people have filed. I know Mrs. Clancy has a question around sort of the level of work over the course of the week. Also, one of our student reps filed a similar item. So I know that was a concern of some of the high school students. You probably want to know about that. I'm asking about the cost of APs, the full cost of APs. You might remember last year we actually paid for them. I'm also asking what the district's plans are for two things, one of which is there's been a switch in the seal of biliteracy in terms of what tests they're counting, asking what we're doing about that. And then the other thing is that we don't have any MCAS scores for 2020, and we use that for admission for some of our programs. And so I'm asking for a report from administration on what we can consider in terms of that. So that is what we have so far. If, as always, you have any questions, please get in touch with me and tune in. Please encourage students to tune in, be part of our student forum on Monday. And please, 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 on Tuesday, if you haven't already done so and you are registered to do so, please, please do go vote. Thanks very much. Take care.